You open your eyes, and something feels off. Heavier, like the weight of everything you've ignored is pressing down all at once. The dreams that once lit your soul now feel like ashes, and they carry a strange bitterness, like promises made to a younger version of you that you never kept. The mirror doesn't soften the blow anymore. It just stares back with quiet truth. You see someone who traded the infinite wonder of possibility for the dull comfort of approval. Time given to people who never noticed. Potential swapped for practicality. Years spent chasing moments that disappeared before they even mattered. There's a murmur inside you, soft at first, like a breeze through broken glass. It says, "This isn't the life you were meant for." It says, "You missed the turn somewhere." But instead of listening, you bury it beneath routine. You scroll, you hustle, you laugh when you're supposed to, even if it feels hollow. You survive each day inside a life that doesn't feel like yours. And that voice? You hush it, because truth is louder than you're ready to hear. Most people never hear it. They live like they're invincible, like apologies can fix decades of absence, like dreams can be paused and picked back up later. But you weren't shown how to live. You were shown how to follow orders, how to color inside lines drawn by hands long gone. You were trained to trade mystery for a map, adventure for a salary, purpose for safety. So you learned to exist, but you never learned to live. And then one day something happens. Something snaps. Maybe it's the absence of someone you thought would always be there. Maybe it's a betrayal that shakes you from the inside out. Maybe it's just you, looking in the mirror and seeing a stranger. Whatever it is, it breaks the trance. You finally see it. You don't have forever. You don't even have tomorrow. You have now, this moment, this breath. And when that truth lands, it doesn't whisper, it roars. You stop fearing failure. You start fearing wasted time. You stop seeking approval. You stop apologizing for wanting something deeper. You let go of applause you'll never hear from people who don't matter, because no one's coming to save you. No savior. No second alarm. This, right now, is your life. If today were to loop forever, would you scream? Or would you smile? Would this life feel like heaven or like punishment? That's the question that burns itself into your chest, because this fragile, fleeting miracle of life, it's demanding your attention. Not someday, not when things calm down, not after everything's perfect. Right now. And suddenly, mediocrity is no longer tolerable. Suddenly, you feel it in your bones that waiting is a form of dying. You start to say no more often, to distractions, to obligations that shrink you, to comfort disguised as care. And you start saying yes to the fire, to the scary, beautiful things that remind you you're still alive. You begin to love in full sentences, to forgive without chains, to dream out loud without waiting for someone's nod of approval. You stop searching for a sign because you finally understand you are the sign. Waking up was the miracle. Breathing was the invitation. The truth that time is your most sacred currency finally pierces through the noise. And in that clarity, you don't become someone else. You become who you were always meant to be. The pain doesn't vanish, but it's no longer your prison. It becomes your teacher. You stop dragging your past like a coffin behind you. You let go, not to forget, but to move. You walk forward, scarred, shaken, imperfect, but awake. Truly, deeply, painfully awake. Because the only life that matters is the one you choose, not the one handed to you, not the one approved by others, the one you claim with both hands. You were told to dream, but only if your dreams stayed small. Stay safe, stay manageable. Don't rock the boat. Don't outgrow the script. The world loves a dreamer until your dream makes them uncomfortable, until your vision demands they confront their own smallness. Society doesn't reward greatness. It fears it. It silences it. because greatness can't be controlled, and obedience is easier to manage. But when you find your why, your deep, unshakable why, you can endure anything. That's the secret. The reason most people stay asleep? They never find it. They never ask the question. They build lives out of someone else's blueprint. Marry who they're told to. Study what they're expected to. Take jobs they hate so they can buy things they don't need. All to impress people who won't even show up at their funeral. And the worst part? They perform their whole lives, acting out a version of success that feels like slow suffocation. Every choice made under someone else's gaze, every dream censored, every risk filtered. They betray themselves in the name of being liked, being safe, being good. But none of those things will hold you when regret comes creeping in the dark. You stay in that relationship because it's familiar. You stay at that job because it's secure. But your soul? It's starving. Your fire? It's flickering. Your genius? You buried it beneath politeness. And the people you're sacrificing yourself for? They won't even remember your name a year after you're gone. They won't know what you gave up. They won't care what it cost. But here's the thing. You can still choose. You can walk away. You can choose solitude over approval. You can choose discomfort over conformity. You can choose your path, even if it means walking alone. Because to truly live, you must be willing to stand apart. You must be willing to be misunderstood. You must be willing to become your truest self in a world that wants you to be a copy. The real tragedy isn't death. It's the unlived life, the quiet desperation, the fake laughter, the vacations that feel like escape routes, the exhaustion that comes not from work, but from pretending, from hiding, from shrinking. This isn't freedom. It's survival. And survival without purpose is a slow, invisible death. You paint your cage, you decorate it, you call it comfort, but a golden cage is still a cage, and eventually, the soul inside it begins to rot. Not because it's weak, but because it was never meant to be confined. They tell you to be patient, to wait for the right time, but time isn't patient. Time doesn't pause while you figure yourself out. It moves relentlessly, indifferently. It doesn't stop because you're scared or unsure or waiting for a sign. It just keeps going. And one day you'll wake up and realize that all the things you were going to do someday have quietly slipped into the past, not with a bang, but with silence. Missed chances don't scream. They fade. And you won't notice until it's too late. You think you'll have more time. But the truth is, you've already lost years to hesitation. How many moments have you already surrendered without a fight? How many mornings did you wake up knowing you wanted more but did nothing about it? How many times did you feel the pull of something real and buried it under obligation? It doesn't take one big choice to lose your life. It takes 1,000 small ones. The moments you say, maybe later. The times you silence your instincts. The days you talk yourself out of wanting what you want. You don't lose your life all at once. You lose it minute by minute, dream by dream, until one day there's nothing left to want, and you don't even remember what it felt like to be alive. You start noticing the smiles feel forced. The laughter doesn't echo in your chest. You look around and realize you're surrounded by people who don't really know you, because you've never let them. Because the real you was too loud, too passionate, too alive. And somewhere along the line, you learned to dim that down to keep the peace. But peace built on self-betrayal isn't peace at all. It's paralysis. And when the world quiets down, when the notifications stop and the room goes still, there it is. Regret. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It slips into your bones and asks the question you don't want to answer. What could you have been if you had dared? You tell yourself you're okay. You tell yourself this is normal, that this is just what adulthood looks like. But deep down, you know the truth. You're not okay. You're tired in a way sleep won't fix. You're hungry for something that can't be bought, and you keep waiting, hoping something outside of you will shift. But nothing changes until you do. Regret is the shadow of your potential. It's not just sadness, it's the ache of a life half lived. It's realizing that you had the brush, the canvas, the time, and you painted by numbers instead of creating a masterpiece, not because you didn't care, but because you were scared. Scared of failing, scared of judgment, scared of standing out, scared of being too much or not enough. But the irony? Failure doesn't hurt like regret. Trying and falling short isn't what breaks you. It's never trying at all. The life you could have lived becomes a ghost that haunts your quiet moments, and no matter how many distractions you pile on, you'll feel it. The weight of the what-ifs, the haunting ache of the unlived life. You don't need more inspiration. You need more truth. The raw, uncomfortable kind that makes you sit up and feel again. The truth that you're not afraid of dying. You're afraid of dying with your soul still trapped inside you. Afraid of being forgotten, not by others, but by yourself. Of looking back and realizing you never really showed up. And that fear, if you face it, if you really let it in, it can save you. Because fear, when channeled, becomes fuel. You can let it choke you, or you can let it wake you. Let it pull you out of the fog, out of the numbness, out of the sleepwalk that's stolen too many years already. That's where your second life begins. Not in grand gestures, not in waiting for the perfect time, but in one quiet, terrifying decision. To stop pretending you have time, to stop rehearsing, to live this day like it's the only one guaranteed. It won't be easy. The world will resist. It likes you tame. It likes you predictable. It will throw every distraction, every demand, every expectation at you. It will beg you to stay small because your freedom makes others uncomfortable. Your truth is a mirror, and not everyone wants to look. But you weren't born to be small. You weren't born to play a background role in your own story. You were born to be vivid, bold, unapologetically real. And yes, that will cost you. You will lose things, you will lose people, but you will find yourself. And that's a trade worth everything. There's a moment when the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of change. That moment is your ignition. That's when you stop settling for a life that's just fine. Fine is a slow death. Fine is the enemy of extraordinary. And your soul? It's starving for something real. It doesn't matter how long you've been asleep. What matters is that you're waking up now. What matters is what you do with this breath, this hour, this day. That you choose to stop measuring your life by the metrics that never mattered. The likes, the titles, the empty praises. None of that will matter when the silence comes. When you're left alone with your choices. Only one question will echo then. Did you live? You will not remember every paycheck, every meeting, every forced smile. But you will remember the day you chose yourself, the moment you stopped waiting, the breath where you finally said, no more. That's what your soul is craving. Not a perfect life, but an honest one. One where you show up raw, flawed, real. One where your days are shaped by passion, not pressure. By meaning, not metrics. You don't need a new year or a crisis or someone else's permission to begin. You just need now. The courage to take the next breath as if it's your last and make it count. That's the fire. That's the awakening. That's the life that whispers, you're home. So breathe deep. Feel the gravity of being here, right now. Alive, capable, chosen by time itself to be part of this moment. That's not random. That's not small. That's your second life calling. And it doesn't care if the world understands. It only cares if you answer. Because when the curtain falls and all that remains is the truth, you'll want to know you lived like it mattered. Not because it was easy, but because you were finally brave enough to burn bright, even if it meant standing alone in the light.